Welcome to this episode of Too Much Freedom. I am your host, Roman Bilan. Today is December 30th, 2014, and we'll be discussing Malaysia flight MH17. Russian propaganda has recently attempted to exhume the debunk theory that a Ukrainian Su-25 shut down Malaysian flight MH17. 4 days after the July crash, the Russian Defense Ministry floated a theory that an Su-25 has shut down the Malaysian jet. But aviation experts quickly cast doubt on this claim. David Levy, an aviation safety researcher at Loughborough University, told RFE-RL that when loaded with missiles, the Su-25 could not reach an altitude higher than 5 kilometers. MH17 was flying at about 10 kilometers when it was hit. Pavel Fligener, I'm sorry about butchering that up, but anyway, he's a journalist and military analyst, and he told the independent Snab.ru that the new Russian claims are complete garbage. And that's a quote. Flinger said that the Su-25 could not have had the capacity to catch up to a Boeing 777 at cruising speeds, and because the Ru-60 is a heat-sinking missile, he said that it would not have made sense that the nose of MH17 appeared to be hit rather than the engine. Regardless, Russia has recently come forth with a witness, while not named, supposedly works at an airfield in the Ukrainian city of Dniprovsk, where he claimed to have seen the warplane take off on July 17th with air-to-air missiles and return without them. This has not been taken too seriously by those who believe a book shut down MH17, since they have previously proved that an Su-25 could not have shut down MH17. Today I will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that an Su-25 could not have shut down MH17. First, some background. The Boeing 777 can fly at a speed of 590 miles per hour, but at 9:19 a.m. it was flying at a speed of 568 miles per hour. The Boeing 777 has a service ceiling of 43,000 feet, but was flying at 31,000 feet. The Su-25 is a ground attack plane, and as by NATO is called the Frogfoot. It has a service ceiling of almost 23,000 feet clean, and 16,000 feet with wet fully loaded. It has a speed of 560 miles at sea, and slower at higher altitudes, and slower with a full combat load. We do not know the height or speed of the supposed Su-25, but it's safe to assume that it was going slower and at least 10,000 feet, maybe even 17,000 feet lower than MH17. The Su-25 has powerful rockets within, and those rockets could have reached MH17 if it was lateral of it. But those rockets are unguided and are used for close air support, not planes 10,000 feet away. The Su-25 has guided bombs, but for obvious reasons they would not have worked. The Su-25 has KH-23, AS-9, KH-25L, and KH-29 missiles. Those are air-to-surface, so they will not be used. The Su-25 has two types of air-to-air missiles, a K-13 and an R-60. The Su-25 would not be armed with the K-13 air-to-air missile. The K-13 missiles are considered useless and out of date, and are not believed to be in the Ukrainian Army's arsenal. They are out of effective range, but if they did hit a Boeing 777, they would have likely taken out at least one engine, and since it uses infrared, and may have even caused a crash, but causing a crash would have been unlikely. The Su-25 also has the R-60 air-to-air missile, which is a modern infrared guided missile with a 6-pound warhead, but this is also extremely unlikely. The 6-pound warhead has trouble taking down a small jet. A BAE-125, owned by the Botswana government, was carrying the president of Botswana and the staff to a meeting in Luanda. An Angolan, a MiG-23 flogger pilot, fired two R-60 missiles at the plane. One missile hit the number 2 engine, causing it to fall off the airplane. The second missile hit the falling engine. The captain of this business jet was incapacitated when the cabin steward was blown forward and onto him. The co-pilot was able to successfully land the plane on a bus strip. The BAE 125 is 20 times smaller than a Boeing 777, and the R-60 still cannot take it down. This also could not have happened because the MH17's entry damage point is on the cockpit and not near the engine, what should have been since it was an infrared missile. Lastly, we have a GSH-32 cannon. It is possible that the rounds of the cannon would not have made it up to the plane, since there was at least a 10,000 feet distance. Imagine trying to shoot down a plane with a rifle from 2 to 3 miles away, using your eyeballs in a plane at a steep angle. And it's also important to note that the entry holes were above the flight deck. Also, when the GSH would leave small circular holes surrounded by more random holes, but this is not seen on the MH17. If you believe the crackpot idea that the Ukrainian government were a bunch of sinister schemers who shot down MH17 on purpose, the Su-25 is pretty much the worst armed military aircraft that you can imagine for such a task. The Ukrainian Air Force has dozens of Su-27s and 2 dozen MiG-29s, perfectly capable of intercepting and shooting down a Boeing 777. If you believe the crackpot idea that an incompetent pilot shot down MH17 with an Su-25, then you need to learn about an Su-25. On a similar note, I think it is important to mention that a second picture of a book contraire has recently surfaced. Below there are links to my sources and articles explaining why the Su-25 theory is garbage. There will also be 2 links to posts in which I debunk MH17 myths in a previous YouTube video. On top of all this, the witness interview was done by the Russian tabloid, and I'm going to bet you this, Komsomolskaya Pravda. Well, that's it for today, folks. Make sure to like and comment, share this post with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel. Today is December 30th, 2014, and this has been Too Much Freedom.